Hello, everyone. Once again, I'd like to take this moment to share a brief thought with you. As I shared with you before, we are on an exciting journey, a journey that is leading us to look at some of the things that are happening around the world, and as I mention often, in our own personal lives. And I am introducing with you and to you the upcoming project, our podcast. And one of the things we do with our podcast, we call it Conversation for the Curious Mind. And it's a production of In Such Innovation. In Such Innovation is a one man's dream or small organization that I have, to which I reach out and help people, clients, and different issues. And so, Conversation for the Curious Mind is a production of In Such Innovation. In Such Innovation, I often speak of it that way. It's to introducing revolutionary knowledge in this transforming world of ours. Some of the things I have noticed in the last years is how our technological revolution and its subsequent industry is producing a wave of rising den the human body cannot adapt to. And so this podcast is dedicating to exploring how rampant emotional and psychological distrust, discontent, and rejective noise are drowning our world into a state of constant chaos and turmoil. Yes, the technological revolution is creating those waves of den and drowning mankind into a state of constant turmoil and chaos. And so I like to ask you a question. Is there something missing in your life? Is there something missing in your life? Do you know what it is? One of the things noisemakers use to make noise and affect us mentally, emotionally, socially, and psychologically, it's our pursuit. The things we pursue, our dreams and goals and aspiration, the things we go after. And these are the things these noisemakers use because our pursuit actually make us vulnerable. And so I realize the human pursuit, in most cases, a perilous pursuit. And so one of the monologue you will be listening to is what I call perilous pursuit, how our obsession with desire betrayed our hearts and injured the soul. Let me repeat it again. One of the monologue you will be listening to, one of the lecture, it's perilous pursuit, that our pursuit of perilous, and how they create an obsession in us. Those obsession with desire betrayed our hearts and therefore injured our very soul. This is what makes us vulnerable to these noisemakers, particularly those rejective and pretentious noisemakers. And so those pursued, while they create an obsession in us, our need for desire betrayed our hearts and therefore injured our soul, creating a world of fear and anxiety. You see, fear is a cognitively assembled conscious experience that is pretty much based on threats and detections, arousal, attentions, perceptions, memory, and other neural process. And so once the soul is injured, make us vulnerable to the external environment that is so brute and unkind. And so we are living in a constant state of fear. We know very well government itself use fear often to control their people. And so let me go back to the question I asked you a few seconds ago. Is there something missing in your life? If there's something missing in your life, do you know what it is? Because if you don't know what it is, anyone can come and tell you any false hope, and you will embrace it, and causing us to live in a state of fear. Fear that I'm not going to be able to do the things I want to do, accomplish the things I want to accomplish. And so our perilous pursuit create an obsession with desire. This desire betrayed our hearts and injured our very soul, creating a state of constant fear and anxiety in us, making us vulnerable to noisemakers. And so I hope you looking forward how I will break down those intricate details those noisemakers are using, knowing we are vulnerable to our own pursuit and obsession with desire to be comfortable, to be secure, to have, make us vulnerable to these noisemakers. And so I am looking forward to break down these specific details, how we become so vulnerable to these noisemakers who now have an insatiation desire for power in a world of vulnerability, fear, and anxiety, making noise as a means to gain power. And so be on the lookout for us to introduce our platform, Conversation for the Curious Mind, a podcast dedicated to explore how rampant emotional, psychological distrust, discontent, and rejective emotion, noise, that are drowning our world into a state of constant turmoil and chaos. And may I ask you once again, listen